time for civil society organizations, their best practices and initiatives that really contribute to sustainable development. And we have an amazing panel from Brazil, Australia, Canada, from North Macedonia, Spain, and the USA. They have amazing project that they'd like to share. But before that, I would like to introduce our moderator of this session, Mr. Osman Oztoprak. He's the Managing Director of Alliance for Shared Values. Just a little background about him. Osman Oztoprak is an accomplished educational leader and a community organizer with a deep commitment to fostering intercultural dialogue and understanding. Since 2001, Mr. Oztoprak has been actively involved in the Turkish American community, playing a pivotal role in founding several intercultural and integrated organizations in the New York and New Jersey areas. Please, let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Osman.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you all, and welcome to the second round of our panels today. I work for the Alliance for Shared Values. My colleague shared the message from Mr. Gülen in the morning. I'm Nisa Kalaç, and you heard my executive director yesterday in the evening at the reception as a keynote. Our organization works with interfaith, intercultural organizations across the US and Canada. So all our member organizations' goal is to bring people of diverse backgrounds just so that they can know one another. Just we talked about in the previous panel was that despite this fake news just simply making into the people's like screens and just simply radicalizing certain individuals and just simply polarizing the society. It is important that we need to have space for people to just be in the same room, breathe the same air, just look at each other. There's a quote that I like from Rumi. It says, when two people stand face to face and look into the other's eye, it is the hearts speaking through the eyes. We may say different words, we may have different gestures, but actually the hearts are the true intention speaking from the heart. So we need, and all our civil society organizations and our panelists are going to share their work on the ground, how they bring people together through various programs so that they can be in the same room, regardless of the content, so that they can come as foreigners, but leave as friends. So I'm going to just have a short introduction, but before I say so, we have two difficult tasks. First one is easy to achieve. We're going to have our speakers, we're going to have the room engaged, and at the end, we're going to have a question and answer, and our panels are going to have their time to speak. The second challenge is the most difficult one. We have to keep every presentation about 10 minutes long, so that we can be ready for the next program. So which means that we're going to have a limited time maybe at the end for the questions. So excuse us for this before, if our panelists hear me or see me standing up and just reminding that the time is getting shorter for their presentation. So before further ado, I would like to share a few of things. A couple of things about like how is civil society organizations. I guess this is this one. Can you take this one? I think that one. Is it just a little? Okay. So one of the ways that the civil society organizations, and we're going to hear many examples of this today, is that by innovation and grassroots solutions. Okay, how is it now? Good, better? Okay, now, thank you. So the way that I've been involved with the civil society organizations for the last 25 years, and one of the things that I love about the civil society work on the ground is that the civil society organizations can be content specific, meaning that the policymakers and the international bodies, international organizations can make a lot of policies. But who's going to make it specific to the people's needs? Who's going to customize it? and serve the people on the ground. And as the time changes, as the technology changes, who's going to adapt, find innovative solutions to still serve the communities? The second one is the service and delivery. Many times we hear, sometimes we heard in the previous panel, United Kingdom was an example, how the government was funding, cutting the fundings for civil society for interfaith work. Sometimes it happens, the government changes, the administration changes, a different government with different mindset comes to power, and all of a sudden, certain fundings are cut for certain organizations, and other fundings are going through for other organizations. But despite all these difficulties on the ground, there's funding or not, civil society always tries to find ways to continue their projects. I've never seen that these people with a good heart in civil society say, okay, it's done, we don't have money, we'll come back 5 years later. They know that if they disrupt their services, it is difficult to build back. So despite all these difficulties, they continue to serve. The second one is the collaboration and partnership. We're going to see today that all these civil society organizations, they do work on the ground by collaborating with other civil society. No one can handle any problem alone. It is important because what you do, what any of us do on the ground, there is one easy way to multiply it. Cooperate and collaborate. We can multiply across different communities. We can multiply across different sectors in our society. And there's the list goes, but the next one that I'm going to cut here is that the capacity building. Through your work, every civil society organization trains people. It's not all like I start this educational program, come and be trained and go. That kind of programs exist, but at the same time, people who receive services from these civil society organizations see the work of good people, and they say, I want to be part of it. Seeing that good people on the ground doing work and helping communities survive and power, they are taking it upon themselves maybe to be part of it. So it's a capacity building. Is very important, one of the important outputs of the civil society work. So without further ado, we have a great panel of presenters today. So across from the globe, we're going to hear examples. In the last panel, we hear examples from all interfaith circles. Now we're going to have examples from best practice from various different circles, including education, women empowerment, from that the multicultural music ensembles, from that the community work supporting one another. So our first speaker is, I'm going to follow this list as on the booklet. Our first speaker is from Spain, Temirzoda. He is the executive director of the ARCO Forum. His resume is impressive. He has a long resume. He's going to talk about a project they run with other partners in Spain, the concept of three cultures since 2014. So I would like to invite Temirzoda here to the podium. Please give him a round of applause.
Many thanks to you, Mr. Oztoprak, for this very kind presentation. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Temirzoda, so that it will be shorter and simpler. And I'm the co-founder of the Intercultural and Intercultural promoter of Foire. I will try to explain the letter J in Spanish is P. So every time that I say Foire, so you understand the Spanish Youth Interfaith Ensemble, please. So I am also the executive director, as Mr. Oztoprak, of the ARCO Forum. So I am a co-founder and intercultural promoter of this project. Before going to the explanation of this project, I would like to give some explanations about the ARCO Forum's job and another initiative, and so that you would be understanding why and how it foiled. Let's try to be able to pronounce it correctly. And it is emerging, right? So ARCO Forum is a Madrid-based nonprofit association aimed at promoting cooperation, tolerance, and respect intercultural and interreligious dialogue. Through various academic and social cultural activities, symposiums, conferences, concerts, of course, thematic dinner events, we try to, and also cultural exchange trips, we create knowledge and communication in order to contribute to peaceful coexistence between people from different cultural, racial, ethnic, and religious backgrounds and help to eradicate stereotypes and prejudices. So the concept of three cultures emerged in 2014. So we are now celebrating the 10th anniversary of it. And we organized probably more than 30 or 40 concerts all around Spain, right? So as you can see, we used to do it in the on the World Interfaith Harmony Week, which is the first week of the February, declared as such by the United Nations, right? So we organized in cities like Madrid, concerts in cities like Madrid, Barcelona, Toledo, Alcalá de Henares, Getafe, so Alicante, and so on, right? And the concerts include performances by groups representing Christian, Muslim, Jewish, and Jewish cultures, concerts of three cultures, as we call it, concierto de tres culturas in Espanol, in Spanish, is an approach to three Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Islam, and Christianism, through a universal language, which is music, of course. As you can see, you saw the different editions of the concerts in different, used by different groups, of course, presented there, right? And this one is the last one that we have been conducting, inviting different groups, as I said. Good. So you can see that we also received a lot of testimonials and words of appreciations from different personalities. I just wrote two of them here. So you can see the Tetuan District Town Council, which is like probably like Brooklyn here, or all part of New York, which is very multicultural and multi-ethnic and multi-racial, right? So they said, in a polarized society that hardly leaves a place for dialogue and sound knowledge of diversity, which on the other hand, currently exists, these values are much needed to understand each other and to live in peace. Also, they wrote, the concert turns out to be a moment of community and encounter of people who usually do not come together in everyday life. So another one will be from Father Juan Jose Gonzalez, who is the main sponsors of those concert of three cultures. From its beginning, he's told that this concert is usually attended by a considerable group of believers of the three religions and also non-believers who are curious about Islam, Judaism, Christianity, and in general about religion from the point of view of musical culture. So, since the concert of the three cultures celebrated in 2016, we have been in constant contact with that gentleman, Julio Maroto, a musical director and a participant representing the Christian group in that concert back in 2016, like I said, in the city of Getafe. And he would be, afterwards, of course, a co-founder of the Interfaith Ensemble that I'm going to present. About the need and possibilities of establishing a musical group of this kind during many years, and then the moment came in 2021 when there was an opportunity of a youth-funded project that enabled it to be created. After the first online meeting, as you can see there, with some musicians in January 2021, we organized a physical gathering a month later, and then that converted directly into a first concert of three cultures offered by this same group that we established. Please. So the Spanish Youth Interfaith Ensemble, or as we told, is an ensemble that emerged by the initiative of ARCO Forum, our institution, in the framework of that community project of the European Commission. And the main objectives or aims is to prevent radicalization of youth by enhancing community engagement and strengthening social cohesion, as well as tackling factors such as marginalization, inequality, discrimination, and denial of rights. The approach is based on multicultural dialogue and trust building, and the idea is to create opportunities in order to promote peace and shared values through artistic and cultural expression. So as you can see, it had 4 different campaigns, and the Hoyre project was born within the Harmony community, which is one of the whose aim is to improve intergenerational, intercultural, and interfaith dialogue by creating those groups that would gather to play together and share the passion for music without borders of culture, faith, and generation. So Hoyre was born. The ensemble unites young musicians from the 3 Abrahamic religions, of course, young professional musicians, to perform religious, spiritual, liturgical, and cultural songs from these traditions. Beyond music, of course, Hoyre fosters peaceful coexistence and personal growth, spreading the message of harmony, brotherhood, fraternity. So here, as you can see, we have almost 50 young musicians. Maybe it's 60. I didn't count it recently because new participants are coming from Barcelona very recently and from other countries. Even from Brussels, there is a participant who every time comes and tries to follow and to participate in our activities, right? So as you could see, many objectives, improving the feeling of belonging that Mr. Aslan Dovan was also yesterday mentioning in the opening ceremony, right? And diminishing the feeling of marginalization for individuals coming from different backgrounds, including the disadvantaged communities, is one of the very important objectives of this ensemble, of this group, right? So we have delivered more than 10 concerts that took place in various regions of Spain, and one held internationally in Brussels in the framework of the Youth Interfaith Ensemble. Did you pass from to the rehearsals, Catherine? Was it? Okay, great. So, however, Hoyre goes beyond being solely an interreligious music group. It serves as a platform, as we talk, for peaceful coexistence, what we call convivencias. It's like a peaceful gatherings that we try to exchange experiences and knowledge with each other, right? This ensemble acts as a conduit for expanding their personal and cultural horizons, enriching not only as musicians, but also as individuals. Over time, this sense of friendship is evolving into robust community, particularly among individuals hailing from different cities across Spain, representing diverse religions and residing in various socioeconomic contexts. So as you can see, there are a lot of photos of the concerts that were held there. You can pass to another one that we finished. This is another one. All of them, we try to merge them with International Days of Peace, International Day of Living in Peace, International Day of Tolerance, etc. Most of them are proclaimed by the United Nations, right? And as you can see, it's not only offering just a concept of three cultures, but also, if you could go 2 back, it also offers different concepts so that many organizations that work on interfaith issues can also invite us to their event, right? For instance, Hoyre was invited to the institutional celebration of the International Day of Human Fraternity, co-organized by the Spanish Bishops' Conference, the Islamic Commission of Spain, and the Federation of the Jewish Communities of Spain in one of the events later. And you can see that we were also present in the Royal Theatre, and we were presenting there our project in a completely different topic, let's say, Turkish topic. Another presentation, another slide, please. So another one was participating in a Barcelona Night of Religions, as you can see, where The atmosphere was very positive, and there was an experience of truly great friendships among the participants there. The Night of Religions in commemoration of the International Day of Peace. So, we believe that we are contributing with this project to three sustainable development goals. It's essential to consider gender equality in such initiatives, and so it is done in our ensemble, ensuring that both male and female musicians from diverse backgrounds have equal opportunities to participate and contribute to holiday, can support SDG 5, which aims to achieve gender equality and empower all women. Also, it contributes to the SDG 16 by fostering an environment of peace, justice, and tolerance. The ensemble's mission to share a message of brotherhood and harmony through music aligns with the broader goal of promoting peaceful and inclusive societies. Of course, the SDG 7 is also present. It exemplifies the power of collaboration and partnerships across cultural and religious boundaries. By bringing together young musicians from different faiths, it promotes, of course, interfaith dialogue and cooperation. The ensemble collaborates with local religious, cultural organizations, schools, and community centers to co-create programs and events. In one of the concerts that was held during and in commemoration of the International Day of Living Together in Peace, I said, we were honored to welcome participants from a wide array of national and international organizations. Professor Federico Mayor Zaragoza, he has served for 2 terms as the Director General of UNESCO. He was there, and he delivered a speech. He said, he emphasized the importance of preserving future generations from the scourge of war, promoting equal rights as a basis for peace, while remaining always faithful to the preamble of the UNESCO. As you can see, since wars begin in the minds of men, it is in the minds of men that the defenses of peace must be constructed, says the preamble of the UNESCO. And finishing, if you put one, so you can see the 2. Last year was very special, both for Foire and ARCO Forum, as we had a very good coverage in media, especially in Spain's national public television broadcasting worldwide. The program called Medina, which we use it as a city in Spanish language also, where we have been interviewed in several occasions, thus presenting our project and activities to millions of people, both within Spain and abroad. As you can see, this is the first interview, and then becomes the second interview with the musicians. And in the next slide, you can see, and I will invite you all, if you could go to our YouTube channel to see the videos with the subtitle offered by our organization in English. And before I conclude, next one, not finished. Before I conclude, I have one last slide left after this. I would like to share, as I always do, a quote from an Andalusian philosopher of 20th century, Averroes, or how we called it, Ibn Rushd, who said, ignorance leads to fear, fear leads to hatred, and hatred leads to violence. This is the equation. So this reminds us of the urgent need to foster knowledge and understanding, and to create safe spaces where people can come together, learn from one another, and build bridges of peace and mutual respect. This side is the final one. So 2 main things, of course. The sustainability prospects. You have been, Mr. Oztoprak, commenting that if some fundings finish in some NGOs, we try to find the ways how to make it sustainable and keep it going, right? So this was the case in Foire, because the project, community project co-financed by the European Commission, finished in 2022, even 2021, the last month. But even though we try to keep on going with the project, as you can see, strong connections built over the past 3 years with institutions and places of worship has been achieved. And then the atmosphere of tolerance and respect continues to thrive within the ensemble. And this makes it possible so that the people keep coming, etc. And we have been performing both on the national and international level, and are planning to take our group to diverse corners of the planet in the months and years to come, and make the most of the universal language of music to disseminate our message of brotherhood and harmony, as you can see in that photo. We would be delighted as well to visit your countries and cities to perform. So invite us, join you and contribute to spreading the message of peace, tolerance, and cultural diversity in the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Nazari. This is a beautiful project. The universal language of music, bringing young people and just simply bring diverse, all the ingredients you could have, you wanted to have for a sustainable peace, a community that respects one another, members just simply accepting one another's differences. This is one of the best examples. So thank you very much for your project, and I hope that you can multiply this in other cities and other environments and other worlds and other countries, and come to New York, please. Okay, we need that. Thank you. Our next speaker is from New Jersey, United States. Sarah Elsakhawy, right? I did it correctly, hopefully. She's the project manager at Embrace Relief. It's a humanitarian aid organization based in New Jersey, but serves globally and in many states of the United States as well. So she previously led the Clean Water Initiative, and mostly they do projects in Africa for the communities they do not have clean water. Boys and girls have to walk miles to get a bucket of clean water. So Embrace Relief, with an important task, goes and opens water wells for them, so they don't have to walk far. And right now she's overseeing 4 distinct programs, all of them aimed at uplifting women and underprivileged communities. So please welcome Sarah to the podium, as she's going to speak about building inclusive and peaceful societies through the empowerment of women and the support of youth-led initiatives.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the introduction. My name is Sarah Elsakhawy, and I work as the Women's Empowerment Project Coordinator at Embrace Relief. We at Embrace Relief are a 501c3 humanitarian nonprofit organization that works around the world and helps those in need by creating research-based programs centered around the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. In addition to that, we closely engage with those whom we serve, which allows us to truly see some of the struggles they are facing. Today, I would like to talk to you all about some of these struggles and what steps we can take to try and change them. Globally, over 244 million children and youth are out of school, with many of them living in conflict-affected areas. The obstacles they face are daunting, from safety concerns and societal norms that prioritize boys' education to economic hardships that force children into labor instead of learning. Studies have shown that in countries affected by conflict, literacy rates among youth can drop by more than 20%, and unemployment rates are consistently higher among young people, continuing the cycle of poverty. Specifically, women are disproportionately affected by poverty, with women aged 25 to 34 being 25% more likely than men to live in extreme poverty. In sub-Saharan Africa, women make up over 60% of the labor force in the informal economy, and yet they have little job security, no benefits, and limited access to financial resources. In Tanzania, only 6% of women have access to formal financial services, and less than 10% of women own land, despite making up more than 50% of the agricultural workforce. These barriers not only prevent women from achieving economic independence, but also limit their ability to contribute fully to their community and the economy at large. Even in more specialized fields, women and girls are often not given the same opportunities as men and boys. Today in the United States, almost 60% of all school administrators are women. However, in other parts of the world, while the majority of teachers are women, very few are allowed to climb the ranks and become head teachers and administrators. Such a trend can be seen in Uganda, where only 12% of head teachers are women, and in Malawi, where female head teachers make up just 8%. The situation is the same in Tanzania, where men dominate leadership roles. For instance, in the Ilala district of the Dar es Salaam region, where 84.1% of primary school teachers are women, only 38% of them are heads of schools. If you could flip the slide, please. Thank you. Education is not just a fundamental right. It is a powerful tool for peace building and economic development. According to UNESCO, each additional year of schooling can increase a person's income by up to 10% and can reduce the risk of conflict by 20% over the long term. Furthermore, when girls receive education, the impact is even more profound. Educated women are more likely to participate in the labor force, make informed health decisions, and contribute to the well-being of their families and communities. Yet, despite this, millions of young women are denied the chance to learn due to factors beyond their control. The lack of economic opportunities for women has far-reaching implications. When women are unable to access education, secure stable employment, or start their own businesses, the entire community suffers. Research shows that when women are empowered economically, they invest up to 90% of their incomes back into their families and communities, compared to just 30 to 40% for men. This investment translates into better health, education, and economic outcomes for everyone. However, without the necessary support and resources, many women remain trapped in the cycles of poverty. If you can flip the next slide. Thank you. To address these challenges, there must be policy changes that promote gender equality in leadership roles, provide targeted training programs to equip women with the necessary skills, and establish mentorship networks to support aspiring female leaders. Additionally, engaging with local communities and conversations about the benefits of female leadership is crucial in shifting common attitudes and reducing the stigma associated with women in leadership. We need solutions that involve governments, communities, and organizations working together. We must advocate for policies that prioritize education for all, particularly for marginalized groups like girls and young women. Investment in safe learning environments, scholarships, and technology-based education solutions can break down these barriers to education, even in the most difficult contexts. In addition, creating pathways for youth to gain practical skills, engage in entrepreneurship, participate in civic activities can empower them to become active contributors in their societies. We need to advocate for policies that promote gender equality in the workplace, such as equal pay, access to childcare, and protections against gender-based discrimination. Additionally, we must invest in initiatives that provide women with the skills, resources, and support they need to gain financial independence. Next slide, please. Thank you. We at Embrace Relief decided to take on these problems through our RISE program in Tanzania. RISE, which stands for Reach, Inspire, Support, and Educate, is dedicated to empowering women by providing scholarships to female teachers and becoming school administrators or supervisors through a 2-year program. By investing in women's education and leadership skills, we are not only changing individual lives, but also fostering a generation of female leaders who can drive systemic change in their communities. In Tanzania, where gender disparities in education and employment are significant, RISE is helping to dismantle these barriers and create pathways for women to take on roles that have traditionally been inaccessible to them. Already, 24 women have successfully graduated from the program, and we have another class of 24 women currently enrolled. We also have committed to providing education to young girls through our LEARN program. LEARN provides access to high-quality online education at the high school and college levels. This program addresses the educational gap in countries where girls' access to education is otherwise severely limited. By offering virtual learning opportunities, LEARN ensures that education can continue regardless of external challenges, helping to raise literacy rates and increase engagement among young women. We currently have 3 students enrolled at the high school level, 10 students who are pursuing degrees in computer applications to work virtual IT jobs upon graduation, and 10 pursuing degrees in English to become teachers in their local communities. Next slide, please. Empowering girls is not only about education. It is about creating an environment where young people can thrive as leaders, innovators, and advocates for peace, and see other female role models doing the same. Girls need our continued support. As one of our students said, being deprived of education is very hard. For instance, in the past, I didn't have a perfect schedule for progressing my lessons, but now I can go ahead with my lessons in a very convenient way without going outside. I feel so lucky for finding such an opportunity for progressing my lessons, and I also hope this type of opportunity for other girls also. All of them are very intelligent, but they're not able to find such an opportunity, a great opportunity for their lessons. So that is the greatest struggle for them. They are not able to progress. To achieve long-lasting change in the world, we must help individual women and girls to achieve their goals. These small changes can create a ripple effect that benefits entire communities. By working together with those in need, governments, and other stakeholders, we can create environments that support women's economic independence and drive meaningful, sustainable, and long-lasting change. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Sarah, first of all, for respecting the time constraints. So I'm just exchanging eye contact with Mr. Coach, just to be not punished at the end. So thank you. Sarah shared impressive numbers, statistics that requires a great dedication to overcome. Women in workforce, women in education, women in administrative positions. Unfortunately, there is a long way that they all have to go through. But I want to just point out one thing about their program, it's Rise and Learn. I heard from through a friend of mine who is a school principal still, who runs an online academy. I know that through Embrace Relief, cooperation with Embrace Relief, they are offering online education to the girls in Afghanistan. Right? I don't want to put them in trouble in Afghanistan, the girls, I hope not. But this is a great, I talked about innovation, right? So when Taliban came, so they canceled all the schools, they sent all the girls back to their homes, teachers couldn't work, and just all they're punished if they pursue that path. Right now, with Embrace Relief, cooperating with an online academy, they convinced the leaders of, okay, they're not going to school, they're not going to sit in the same room with the men. Okay, you're opposing them, we understand, but we have to educate these girls. How are we going to do this? So they were innovative, and they are cooperated with this organization. Embrace Relief finds funds for their education. They don't pay any money to girls in Afghanistan, and online academy provides them with the proper education where they will receive a U.S. high school diploma while they live in Afghanistan under Taliban. This is what I'm talking about, innovation. Thank you very much for your noble work. Now, our next speaker is an educator and master of chess. He has an impressive resume, not only because he plays chess perfectly. He can beat anybody, all of us put together, can still beat us. He is the teacher of teachers. That is impressive. So he learned skills throughout his life, his experience. Now he's passing on other educators so that they can run the similar programs, help kids in their schools. And it has been proven that I read through his resume that when kids are involved in chess in their schools, their attention span improves. You know what happens with the social media? What is the average attention span for a kid? 10 years, 15 years, a teenager. 10 seconds? You are very optimistic. Maybe it is reduced to 5 seconds. In 5 seconds after, you lose them. As a former educator, I know it's a difficult task. But with this chess, they learn to play chess. With the chess play, they have to concentrate. They have to be patient. They have to wait for the other side to make a move. And they have to calculate their move. That teaches them to be patient, to concentrate, to improve. That improves their attention span. So Zoran Stojcevski is going to talk about a transformative catalyst for students' academic and personal growth. He's going to talk about how he achieves that through teaching kids chess. Thank you.
Thank you, Osman, for nice words. I'm Zoran Stojcevski, coming from Macedonia, small country on the Balkan, ex-Yugoslavia. Probably you all know where it is. Here I'm as a board member of Chess Federation of Macedonia. Personally, professionally, I'm living from the right engineer, 20 plus years working implementation of banking software industry. So probably this chess helped a little bit in my profession. Now I'm manager of 150 people organization, very successful in my country and in the region. So let's start with the presentation. And all our presenters, speakers today tried hard to touch the matter how to achieve United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. It's not easy. We saw some ideas, executive projects, investing in different areas. So there is a two-way, as I mentioned previously in my question, is direct impact and part-time indirect method, how to achieve these goals. In my country, we try to do it, this long-term project, through one very interesting game to try to make persons to be better, kids to be better persons, and tomorrow to not be a need for religion, understanding, gender equality. So we create persons that they're all of that in as one. So next, why we use chess? Chess has interesting characteristic, a lot of instructions, a lot of combinations in it, interesting for the kids. And we put another dimension of usage of chess, using as a tool in education. It is very difficult to find among our chess players, professional, to explain to them that the role of chess is multidimensional, not just a game, not just a sport. This education point of view makes chess, as we wanted to say, magical game to achieve extraordinary results with kids. So I put it September 22-24 because this project lasts till now 2 years. We are in the 3rd year. First little break milestone was on 5 year to see where we are, what we have achieved. This is one cycle of generation in our country, in elementary school, where a teacher gets another generation. So this is how we created. And next slide. And how it began. Yes, idea is maybe 30 years old, but some things changed in 2012. European Parliament declaration was brought up and recognized chess as a sport. This content of declaration is in one part everything that all participants here spoke about, and probably professor from Spain explained about 16 or probably more than 16 was goals from United Nations. 17, sorry if I didn't count it well. But probably 99% are in this declaration, put it as achievements, what we can do. So we started with that declaration, and fortunately 2 years ago we achieved with our Ministry of Education approval to implement it, because it's very difficult to implement it, and we are a small country, but probably one of the giants in Europe with our implementation and status of implementation. So FIDE, International Chess Federation, recognized it, and we did case study from which a lot of countries now can learn or can use it as a startup how to continue working with it. So to keep in track with this subject of journalists and writers, that I'm thankful that I'm here again. I want to emphasize their crucial role in this area, and really I'm also thankful that I'm a witness of message of distinguished Fethullah Gulen, what he said on the beginning through our one of our colleagues here, and also messages of Dalai Lama and His Excellency Dalai Lama and Reverend from Australia. So social aspects are very important. Social cohesion and integration. I can prove that all kids from various religion, heritage, or nations. From early year, I was witness how we have played a lot of games, but not just chess games. But after the game, we have excellent communication. Probably I have friends from more than 90. I counted before I came here. More than 90 countries. I have friends and I have communication. So it is tremendous number. I think just Nigel Short, distinguished Grandmaster, he was guest in Macedonia. He said he calculated 190. So it was the record that because he's traveling so much and he's working like this. One of interesting areas that maybe you don't know that, but crime in chess community is the less. There is some statistic in all other sports where the crime is present. So in chess community is on the smallest margins. And normally when you play chess, you are fulfilled. You don't have time to go to street to do things that are not good, and normally keeps you away from different addictions. That is very also important, playing chess. Yes, there is addiction of playing chess, but this is the smallest thing that you can happen to your kid. On the other hand, chess benefits for personal development, and probably this is most recognized about thinking, calculation. My colleague mentioned concentration. Yes, it's true. It's difficult to keep concentration of one kid 5 seconds, not 20 or 30. It's very, very difficult, but somehow we are very happy when we show some task to some kid, how the kid is thinking, how he is trying, how we say the mind is developing. You're seeing how mind is growing in his head. So memory analytical skills, but from all these 5, I want to emphasize that determination and decision making. At least this helped me a lot in my business. You always must, in moments when you must make a decision, chess player or kid that knows to play chess, to know how to make decision, even wrong. Sometimes it's much better to have bad plan than no plan. No plan brings you in disaster for sure. Bad plan, maybe if some situations can put it by itself, you will succeed. Okay, next. I can speak about these advantages a lot, but I will break my time for sure. So I wanted to give you some facts till now that we did till now. It's 5-year project, 3 years to go in this moment. We educated 1,000 teachers till now. And this is teachers from elementary school and successfulness of the project is how we implement. So in every area, all of you will agree with me, there is a lot of good ideas. But if you implement it on not proper way, it will left just an idea. We have several occasions how they a lot of countries try to implement this another way. For example, for 7th and 8th grade, for children, this is approximately from 12 till 14 years old. It's good, but it's not so good implementation. Or to implement it through the teachers that are that go physical education, or how we call it, sports. It's again bad idea. So implementation of this project starts from the 1st grade in elementary school, and the top, the best characteristics we will achieve from that, from the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. That's how we implement it in Macedonia. With 1st, 5 grades, there is a very big help from European Union, because we copied some good things in education, and there is a free class. For teachers, there is a free class from 1st and 3rd. Their teachers should create some, I don't know, some about weather, about traffic science, about any common subject. And we created this program in details for our teachers, so they need to do anything. We prepared some presents for them, normal tablets, tools that they can work, and they were very happy to do our job, to do this job. We visit more than 70 elementary schools. There are not this figure, but we gave as a present to this school more than 1,000 chess sets to have it, more than 100 tablets. And as a result, till now we have 50 teachers that started with the program. I'm saying the percentage maybe is not so good. It's just 5 plus 100, 5%. But we are trying best, because in our country all teachers are not. They need some other motivation than good present and good developed program, and etc. So because Ministry of Education doesn't give it extra money for this kind of effort, so Chess Federation of Macedonia tried to sponsor and other good big companies to achieve and to promote this, because financial reward is always the best way how to motivate people to work on it. And more than 2,000 kids are now under this program. Actually, we hope that till next year we will double the figures. What were our basic principles? How to make the teachers to do this job for us? Because teachers are our real partners in this project. To implement it, Czech community in Macedonia doesn't have forces by itself to do it. And teachers are the best because they are educated. They have methodology to approach to the kids. I forgot to mention, this is very, very important about diversity. They can approach to also in the same time to tall, to short, to fat, to slim, to fast. And the most important also, we have a lot of blind kids that play chess. They are equal in it. People with special needs, they are also equal. So in our chess schools, we have, in a matter of fact, representatives who represent our country in chess that are part of these social groups. 5 minutes. Okay. So this is the basic principle, and one of the best is the teachers should not know necessary to play chess, and even more the teachers who don't know, they're much better, because me as a chess master, I always will look for some goals, sport goals from the kids. And I will push them maybe unintentionally much more than it should be. Teachers know the measure how they should work, and they can implement it on the right way. So I will go fast to a few slides. This is methodology in details. Again, we prepared everything for the teachers so they can be motivated to do it, because when they do nothing, this is excellent for them. If we teach them to do a lot of things, then the project is 100% unsuccessful. And this back, please, the educational part. This is just example how our class looks like. It's very important and can be used in very other idea. The 10 minutes is maybe much too much for educational part, giving instructions, always different instructions. You know how the chess pieces are going left to right, all this. For example, rook goes left, right, up and down, takes the opponent piece and cannot jump. So this is 3 simple instructions how you can teach the kid how to play with rook, for example, and giving a lot of exercises. Interactive part is very important. This is 20 or 30 minutes interactive part where you play with kids, and every kid, super active kid or kid that cannot express their wishes, you can bring the kid on the table to show on the smart table how it goes. And the very important that we created is stress release. We implemented this music, some puzzles, or any creative animation that the teacher can do it. So this is very also important during the game, because why they will play, because they are stressed. Now music is here, they can play. And again, after that, they can solve puzzles. If they are not listening, they simply will not get this carrot. I like to say, in my business now, today we implement 10 carrots. In my time, it was 1 carrot, 1 stick. Now we implement also in developers in my company 10 carrots, no stick. Or some possible stick that come. So also today's kids are the same. You just simply will not receive possibility to solve, to express. Next. And these are examples. Chess Kids, it's very important. This is program, very popular site. The Chess Federation of Macedonia did some agreement with them to provide free accounts for the teachers. And at the end, these are 4 very important answers why we need it, why we need this chess in school program to be better persons. And I put it like things that matters for all of us that is part of this conference also. I will not mention it one by one, but very, very important is cultural exchange and inclusivity and educational enhancement. Top 3 are very, very important for all of us, and all we will be better persons if we do this chess. At the end, the Chess International is primary is gens unus sumus, that means we are one family. So somehow from this quote is also part of our today's conference importance. Sorry that I'm late, because sometimes I'm forgetting. Probably I have to tell you more than 10 examples, but there is no time for that. So, yeah.
And thank you, Zoran. I wish we had more time, because I'm sure you did as well, wanted to see examples, not only from this chess project, but other projects too, like a longer time. But maybe next year in planning, we can have more time for our best practice session. But chess, I thought always like a chess, just you play your goal is to beat your opponent. But I'm sure you showed us that there's more than that in chess play. And especially I love the part that it's part of a community building project too. It looks like it is an individual game, but kids are playing chess with opponents, kind of like a mental exercise, learning to be patient, and sometimes accepting defeat is just making them a stronger person with a stronger character. So I never thought of that. Thank you for bringing that the unseen parts of like a simple game is like chess. Thank you. Our next speaker, she is from Canada. Madhuri Kibria is from Bachar, Lorai. Her passion involves in working for human rights, climate justice, and preventing and ending violence against women and girls. Her former research included focused on women's rights and autonomy, gender-based violence prevention and response strategies, sexual and reproductive health rights, rights-based sustainable development, improving access to justice and social support for historically marginalized groups and communities. Now she's going to talk about a topic of like many people prefer not to speak, and her title represents that. Menstrual health management, exploring the unspoken. Please join me in welcoming Madhuri Kibria to the podium.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all the speakers who presented so far. I'm excited to hear from the rest of you. Distinguished guests, representatives of international organization, it's an honor to be here today. My name is Madhuri Kibria. I'm the program manager for policy research at Bachar, Lorai. I'd like to start by expressing my deepest gratitude to Ahmet and JWF for giving me and our organization the opportunity to offer our perspectives on this platform. I'll start by sharing a little bit about our organization called Bachar Lorai, which is a Bengali phrase, which translates to striving to survive. We're an international nonprofit social impact agency that registered in Canada in 2023, and we're now a team of 16 people of color from across the globe. Our vision is a world where every Bangladeshi has access to necessary resources and opportunities to thrive. And our mission is to empower Bangladeshis worldwide, which we do through our 3 pillars: community building, policy research, and signature initiatives. Under community building, we host impact socials, deliver youth workshops, and participate in UN parallel events like today's to connect and build community. Under policy research, we publish evidence-based research in collaboration with graduate students and respected universities, basically to publish issues and publish about major public policy challenges pertinent to social impact and the philanthropy sector. We provide recommendations as well, and we work to kind of see and implement those recommendations as well in our work, which I'll tell you more about later. Under signature initiatives, we deliver humanitarian assistance based on emerging needs and capacity development programs by collaborating with local civil society organizations in Bangladesh. Our projects have aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, focused on good health and well-being, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, decent work and economic growth, reduced inequalities, and partnerships for the goals. Today, I'll be talking about one of our major areas of work, menstrual health and hygiene management, or MHM, which falls under SDG 3, good health and well-being, SDG 5, gender equality, and SDG 6, clean water and sanitation. Specifically, subtarget 6.2, access to adequate and equitable sanitation and hygiene, and 5.6, which is universal access to sexual and reproductive health rights. And this is a special one because it's actually the only issue so far that has manifested across all 3 of our pillars. And I'll start a little bit with why we decided to do this. According to the World Bank, as many as 500 million people lack basic access to menstrual products and hygiene facilities during their menstruation cycles. 1.25 billion women and girls have no access to a safe and private toilet. 526 million have no toilets at all. In least developed countries, nearly 3/4 of people lack basic hand washing facilities, so they can't really address any health and hygiene issues with safety and dignity. Studies have found that almost 95% of women in Bangladesh struggle to afford sanitary products. Over 41% of schoolgirls miss school because of the inconvenience and embarrassment of their period, and 32% had their school performance affected. 86% of young Bangladeshi schoolgirls could not properly change or dispose of their menstrual products due to a lack of safe and private sanitation facilities and disposable locations. Yesterday at a different conference that I had on feminist issues, Equal Measures 2030 is an organization that basically published an SDG gender index. And you can look that up because I found it really interesting. Bangladesh scored only 59.3 out of 100 on the index score on access to sanitation. So that was an additional thing that I learned yesterday. And there's also women who have only above 15 years. So these statistics suggest a glaring period poverty issue in Bangladesh, and we felt that it was pertinent that we work to address this in some sort of way. Next slide, please. So this is just an overview of how this MHM program kind of progressed. So under our Signature Initiatives pillar in 2021, we partner with a local civil society organization named Ritu to offer comprehensive menstrual health education workshops where they distributed comic books on menstrual hygiene and provided sustainable, reusable menstrual hygiene products as part of Dignity Kits, which also contained masks and sanitizers because this was kind of the peak of COVID-19. This project impacted 90 young girls in Kishoreganj, a rural district in Bangladesh where period poverty goes particularly unaddressed. As a best practice, we believe that building strong partnerships with local civil society organizations that have a deep contextual understanding of the target communities is paramount to making sustainable impact and a step towards decolonizing development as we know it. All of this data went into Bachelor's first ever policy brief called Ending Period Poverty in 2023 under our policy research pillar, which offered a thorough analysis of menstrual health and hygiene challenges in Bangladesh and provided evidence-based recommendations for macro and meso-level stakeholders. Our journey to today involved translating research into action. We've advocated through newspaper columns, partnered with grassroots organizations in Bangladesh to conduct educational sessions in rural schools and Dhaka slums, Dhaka being the capital. We wanted to expand our reach in North America and held an MHM workshop for young members of the Bangladeshi diaspora in Toronto, and this fell under our community building pillar. We once again partnered with a local company called Joni that makes sustainable, fully biodegradable menstrual products and gave them to all our workshop participants. And this was part of us setting an example of the things we recommend, the uptake of environmentally conscious products for the people and the planet. This also falls under a best practice of being able to follow up on the recommendations you put forward if you have the capacity to do so. It's part of demonstrating to institutions and power holders that the things we want or demand are achievable and have a real, tangible, positive impact on the communities that need. We had an incredibly engaging and educational workshop with 35 attendees where we had open discussions starting from the very basics of what is menstruation to different menstrual products, social stigma, and it ended with a panel discussion with gender equity experts from Oxfam Canada and Plan International. Earlier this year, we held our first CSW 68 side event with thanks again to JWF for supporting us and facilitating that. We had MHM and SRHR experts from Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Nepal, and Sri Lanka who shared their on-the-ground experiences, lessons learned from program design and implementation, and identified more recommendations for us to better work and strengthen our collaboration, particularly in the South Asian region, with the broader purpose of period poverty alleviation. Today's event is a continuation of these efforts aiming to further translate our recommendations into meaningful action. It is so important for us to work collaboratively to strengthen cross-border partnerships if we are to tackle issues that transcend borders like poverty, hunger, social and health inequity, climate change, justice, and beyond. I'll finish off by speaking briefly on our current work on empowering youth-led initiatives for sustainable peace, one of the main topics of today's discussion. This week, Bachar Lorai will be kicking off its inaugural iteration of the Global Impact Fellowship, an eight-month transformative program with 10 fellows from across the globe. They'll attend expert-led capacity development workshops focused on a multitude of topics, including the UN SDGs, proposal writing, communications, and so on. And the fellowship will culminate in the fellows designing their very own UN SDG aligned project, which we will support them in implementing on the ground, both in Canada, among diaspora populations, and in Bangladesh. We'll be consulting target communities to find out what their needs are. As funders and those providing support, we cannot be the ones to decide what the communities need. We can only address their needs properly if they tell us what they are. And I think that's a best practice that we should remember as civil society practitioners as well. Through this fellowship, we hope to empower youth to take ownership of the projects that they do and pursue their own individual passions, preparing them for careers in public service, sustainable development, and social impact. We hope to continue this fellowship every year in order to sustain our efforts to empower youth, build inclusive societies, and foster partnerships across borders. And the final point really is we're hopefully going to start planning for CSW 69 soon. So I invite you all to come and chat with me or my colleague Anu right at the front. As you may know, there's no priority theme, but rather the 30-year review of the 1995 Beijing Declaration, which is a huge all-encompassing document. So there's fairly great scope for what we can talk about and cover, considering all the intersectional issues that we're facing across the world right now. So yes, thank you so much for listening and for allowing us to share Bachar Lorai's work.
Thank you, Madhuri. Thank you for your very important work on bringing stakeholders to attack the problem in the heart. Now, our next speaker, we are just short in time, we have to move fast, is Ahmet Keskin, Mr. Ahmet Keskin from Australia. He's the Executive Director of the Australian Intercultural Society, and he has an extensive experience in community building through interfaith intercultural workshop. He's been doing this for 25 years. He's going to talk about the Showing Up Bystander Intervention Program. So, join me in welcoming Mr. Keskin.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I will try to keep it as brief as possible. So our program is called Showing Up, because we're encouraging people to be courageous to stand up to a religious vilification incident. And that's the reason behind the title. So it's about providing a training workshop for innocent, or ordinary everyday civilians to be courageous, to be a circuit breaker, to distance the victim from the perpetrator. So if we can get on to the next slide, I'll just go into the details a bit more. So it was the why and the what. Well, obviously, in many countries, in Western countries in particular, we've noticed in Australia, the UK, US, for example, anti-Semitism and Islamophobia is on the rise. And the community organisations, our one, and the Jewish Community Council of Victoria came together to work to devise a program where we do, like I said, encourage, not only encourage, but skill up individuals to be able to circumvent any incident which is awry and is even violent to some degree, because obviously when it comes to racism, limits, well, there are no limits to some people because they just seem to go off and shoot off whatever comes to their mind. So to be able to break that communication, we wanted the interveners to be competent enough in a harmless way to intervene and to be able to put the victim at ease by going to their support. Next slide, please. I think that's what I explained that in the background there. So, like I said, it's about just upskilling and giving them the confidence in a safe way to intervene and make sure that they are playing the circuit breaker role to be able to cut off that vitriol. Some of the SDGs we tried to address was obviously number 16, and I should have included number 17 in terms of partnership, because you had a Jewish and a Muslim founder organization who have come together and engaged a third party to deliver the actual program. But the purpose was also to inform the participants about the faith, what some of the sensitive points are, because the people who are in the firing line of this religious unification are predominantly the Jewish male with the kippah and the Muslim female with the hijab, because they're visibly Muslim. Otherwise, I'm Muslim, but if I'm walking down the street, I won't be able to know that. And I got my Jewish female friend who was the president of the Jewish Community Council of Victoria. You wouldn't have known that she was Jewish at all, but she's not wearing anything that's visible to Jewish symbols that we've sort of become accustomed and known for. Next slide, please. So in terms of the expected outcomes, as you can see there, was about providing half-day workshops. Who do we target? We targeted predominantly people who are in the front line of services with community work. We've also targeted or invited people from the general public. We screened them as well to make sure that their intent is pure and they're coming for the right reasons. They were with smaller groups, 12 to 20. We did need to have a minimum of 12 just to make sure that the role-playing scenarios that we did offer, meaning the facilitated offer, had some substance to it, and that it sort of reenacted a situation, because sometimes it happens in large crowds, it can happen in a smaller environment with only 2 or 3 people. And if you're the third person, well, you're encouraged to act and play that circuit breaker role. And also it was about encouraging others or emboldening others to be courageous enough to stand up and play that role of being that circuit breaker. Next slide, please. So over the 2 years we delivered the program, we had over about 120 participants. They felt that they were energized and empowered, and they played a referral role for us as well. So through the participation, they were able to refer others to come on board and participate in this program. And we've got, like Noel said, in Australia, we've got a Islamophobia and anti-Semitism register, which captures all these details. Whenever an incident takes place, people are encouraged to ring up and provide the details of what the nature of the incident was. And in that way, we capture the breadth of the issues or the scenarios at hand, and that helps us present information to policymakers, whether it be government or others, on what these scenarios are looking like, and which areas are growing, and where we should be focusing more our attention to alleviate some of these issues. Next slide, please. So we had this was a government-funded initiative, and we had the minister who was responsible for that, Minister for Multicultural Affairs, give obviously the speech. Next slide, please. And that's just a scenario or a picture from one of our workshops. Now, we made it quite engaging. This is obviously when they're all sitting down and learning what these sensitive points are. But what we did was we encouraged people to stand up and play the victim, we had our facilitators play the perpetrator, but play the victim. And then there was about 4 or 5 of us who were encouraged to be the bystander. So by going deep and by literally putting out real life offensive language, we wanted to sort of reenact the real life scenario where we basically challenged our participants to act. What would you do in this scenario? So we got them to explain what they would do, and then if the facilitator felt that would not be the best course of action, they were guided on what the best course of action would be. Next slide, please. And here's some of the feedback. What we saw from many of our feedback is that casual racism, hence casual religious vilification, is out there, and we need to obviously call this out. I think it's all of our responsibility to call out whether there is something wrong, to be at least recognise that it's not correct and it's not acceptable, because the standard you walk by is the standard you accept. But if you do not accept when someone's being harmed by words, then it's our duty to call that out. Next slide, please. And similarly, this is a person that got involved with the program with her husband, because Her husband's in this line of work. So obviously reach and trying to get the message out to get more people involved in these types of programs is a challenge for all of us. I hear the great work that we're doing here. So I guess for us, it's about how do we reach out to as many people as possible. I think the next one maybe might find the slide. And the key thing that I sort of got out of this and our friends from the Jewish community as well, is that there is obviously a lot that needs to be done. And we have limited funding. Sustainability is a challenge for all of us. But these are areas that we definitely do need to touch upon because it is a serious matter and it does require a community response. But we also need to make it more of a society response. So hence we're encouraging ordinary citizens to stand up and play their role because together we'll be able to make the society better. I think that was my final thought. So thank you very much.
To present this practice, I need to point out a few things only. First of all, as every social movement, every civil society, SDGs also, Institute for Intercultural Dialogue, is pursuing something so easy to say, but so hard to achieve, which is peace, kind of difficult to achieve and maintain, right? As Norberto Bobbio, an Italian philosopher and political scientist, in the book of Dictionary of Politics, he says, in the entire human civilization history, almost 15,000 years we are talking about, more than 10,000 years we are talking about, there was a sum of 2.5 years of peace. And maybe the worst part of this example, it is not to make you frustrated about our objective, it is for giving you hope because it is possible. Many of us think it is almost impossible, but no, it is possible. We made it just for a few days maybe, just for a few weeks maybe, or for several months. But the best thing about peace is it is something that every second of it worth it. Not weeks, not months, not years. Every second of it worth it. And one more bad thing about peace is if one person, only one person violates it, it is over for so many people. Because of this, as institute, we believe that peace is possible through dialogue. Next, please. Why? Because dialogue is literally gathering people for them to understand each other. And who understand the other will feel affinity. If you feel affinity towards someone, it gets more difficult to create a conflict. And this is the best part of the dialogue. It has an irreversible effect on people, achieving and maintaining the peace. With this idea on our mind, we made this project, Dialogue Stores of Art, and we brought together people from different parts of society who made an interesting contribution to the dialogue since 2015. Initially, we can pass, Stars of Dialogue Awards was between only Turkish and Brazilian communities. We were awarding people who had a contribution to the dialogue between two cultures, which was a good initiative, but it was limited. So many football players, singers, journalists, academics received awards, but as I said before, it was limited. And we have changed the concept, the idea of these awards to make it more inclusive, more embracing the great diversity of Brazil has. We can pass. To not let any effort be excluded. To not let any effort be excluded, we defined 5 different categories in which we analyzed significant dialogue efforts in different spheres of society. First, cultural and political dialogue. This category is for those who broke the taboos and established a dialogue bridge between different cultural and political opinions. Second one is social dialogue, and this one was for the people who use dialogue for social causes like charity, like promotion of human rights and other means. The third one is interreligious dialogue for those, of course, who dedicated their life to bring together representatives of different religions. Fourth one is dialogue through education and science for those who has an inspiring posture to bring correct education and information, of course, and the positive social transformation of those two things to everyone. And the last one, but not the least one, is dialogue through arts. As everybody knows that art has a great potential, great capacity to bring together people and unite them for the sake of humanity. In this category, we awarded people who use this potential of art come true. 10 different prominent names from different spheres of Brazilian society received their awards for demonstrating a great effort in these 5 essential categories. And there were 150 people as participants: journalists, civil society, state representatives, religious leaders, and many more. But one of the best details of this organization was in every table there was a mix of this wide range of diversity that Brazil represents. Everyone was sitting with someone from a different part of society to create a new and transforming dialogue which was appreciated by everyone. The objective, we can pass, I guess this is the last slide. The objective is to recognize the endeavor, the effort for achieving a more inclusive, harmonious society which will lead eventually, we believe, to a perfect peace. Oh. I guess, okay. And the second objective is motivate the ongoing initiatives to maintain their activities, yes, this one, thank you, or make them even better. And of course, promote similar efforts in every part of Brazilian society. With this event, we try to attend SDG 16 for promoting peace among different parts of society. Thank you for your opportunity and your time.
Thank you very much, Fatih Bey. What they do is very important because sometimes good work of a few goes unnoticed. And it is important to recognize them, find them in the society, recognize them, and then promote their work so that other people can take an example of their work. Thank you very much for bringing their good work out and then presenting it for the larger society. Now we have very short time for one comment, or or a question. So if anyone wants to make a comment or ask a question to our panelists, we'll entertain one. Yes, please.
Actually, Madhuri, I want to ask you, in terms of implementing what you do, it's of course very focused women's work. I wonder when you do this, where do you find the support? And I'm asking a gender question, a gender relationship question. Do you find your organisation must rely on women to do this? Are there men who understand it and support? I'm just interested in what your experience is in implementing such a program, and that's in terms of gender and who supports.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that question. Do you mean specifically for our gender equality projects, or do you mean for our...
menstruation, yeah.
For the menstruation.
That's a very specific one that you've got to do, and it's a big rollout. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, of course. So with any of our signature initiatives that happen on the ground, We have local implementation partners who we have to do some research. We have to do some research, reach out to organizations, obviously pitch our idea, see if our priorities align, and then figure out, okay, if this is going to move forward. We also, speaking to the local organizations also allows us to get a better understanding of what it is that the local communities actually need. Local CSOs know and understand better than us what the needs of the community are. So that's generally how we would implement those programs. So that's how the initial one started in Bangladesh in 2021. And then in 2023, when we wanted to expand to North America and we wanted to do the workshop with the diaspora population, we actually held consultations with young members of the diaspora first, before developing the workshop and its content. So we asked them like, okay, what do you want this workshop to be like? What do you want it to cover? Is there something that you want to learn more about? Do you feel like this is going to be useful to you at all? We don't want to make a workshop if it's not useful to them. So even starting from the really basic things of like, what do you need? Is this really what you need? And then working our way from there, and then developing our program that way. Yeah, with any of our other projects as well, with our global impact projects that are coming up, one of them is going to be in diaspora population, one of them is going to be on the ground, so we're going to be speaking to public office holders, associations, seeing what needs in the community are. We're going to be speaking to practitioners, and only then we'll actually land on the particular projects that we actually will be taking on, because we can't be the people deciding what to do for a community.
So just to clarify, that means this request basically came from Bangladesh and from Bangladeshi organizations. The thing in my mind is there was a fistula problem, for example, in Ethiopia, but they were women surgeons who went and did it. It was actually very much a very direct women-to-women engagement. I was wondering, is that what happens? Is you board or female? Is your organization's funding directed that way? That's sort of what I'm wondering.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily that we only work with women-led organizations. I think we work with all sorts of organizations. Even recently, as you might know, there was a regime change in Bangladesh, and since then there's been a lot of, well, actually religious sort of hatred and conflict in our country. There were Buddhist indigenous people who were attacked, there were members of the Hindu community who were attacked, and so we actually worked with, I think it was the Hindu Buddhist Christian Foundation, and raised funds for them, and then worked with them to see, okay, where do you actually need these funds? So that was part of our signature initiatives and how we try to assess what the emerging needs are, and then we actually develop the program. So I guess you could say it's adaptability. We have to be ready to kind of adapt according to the needs on the ground. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Thank you. Unfortunately, we cannot take another more questions, but our speakers are going to be here tomorrow on other programs. I encourage you to engage with them in person, one-on-one. So this concludes the second roundtable, that second panel of the roundtable discussion today. So I turn microphone to Mr. Koch.
Well, thank you so much. Can we give another round of applause?